Hey, I'm DIW official Brandon Blaze. You're watching Buster's HR Junkie on YouTube.
I know a pet peeve of yours right now. Every Tom, Dick, and Harry who thinks they can wrestle, thinks they can train someone to wrestle, and just throws them in the ring and lets them do whatever. How did Jeff and Tony handle you guys? Did they say, okay, you've been here this time, it's time to get in the ring, you're good, go? How did they handle y'all?
Tony was a little looser than Jeff. Now, when you first get there, you don't know nothing anyway.
Right.
But after you've been there a little while, and wrestling's the kind of thing, everybody, it ain't like a football team where he needs everybody at the same place at the same time.
Yeah.
You know, some individuals learn way faster than others. Some individuals pick the stuff up way faster than others. Some never pick it up. And that's what Jerry Jarrett told my brother. That's one of the things he told him. He said, look, he said, everybody can't do this. Everybody thinks they can. He said, but everybody can't. He said, some guys can get it and pick it up pretty quick. He said, other guys, they can train for a lifetime and never get it.
Right.
And no truer words have ever been spoken than that fact. Some guys, no matter how much they even say get past training, because you got a lot of guys who get trained to a point, and if they got a good trainer and know they still ain't ready, that won't put them in the ring, eventually they veer off somewhere else and it end up getting in the ring.
Right.
And then once they do, there ain't no going back from that. You can't, once you put them in the ring and they have their first real match, then they're not going back to their trainer and accepting what he's telling them. You know, whether he thinks they're ready or not, they didn't have their match. They're in now. They're in, at least in their head, they're in.
Right.
You know.
Okay, well, I know we watch all these shows where WWE, where they're training people and things like that, and they got these big old mats in the middle of the ring for them to take backdrops and body slams and bumps. Tell us about the mats y'all had to fall back on.
We never had a mat. And here's something else too. Jeff trained us, never smartened us up, trained us physical.
Right.
No mats. Everything was done on the ring. But you also wasn't doing, there wasn't moonsault practice either. They kept us running drills, tackles, hip tosses, arm drags, lockups, headlock takeovers, up and overs, drop kicks. Man, they make us get in the ring and hold a chair. One guy would hold a metal chair up, and you'd hold it about chest high, probably 5 feet at least, even with you. And each guy would practice kicking it. Man, look, I'm a fat boy. Always have been. And back then I could move, but I ain't no flyer at the same time.
Right.
Man, I practiced that drop kick one day probably 30 or 40 times. Jeff, do it again, do it again, do it again. Let's just say I don't do drop kicks. Now I can kind of do one if I'm moving. Now, once I learned how to take a bump, a proper bump, know how to get my feet up, I kind of learned how if I was hitting the ropes and got some momentum, I could probably hit a decent drop kick back then. Decent for me.
Right.
Not no Ricky Steamboat drop kick or even a Jeff Jarrett drop kick whatsoever. But you do these drills over and over, and that's how Jeff done us. Like I said, you'd line up and we'd all go through the move shoulder tackle drill. Say there's 10 guys there. You're in the center. Each guy hits 4 ropes. There wasn't no step over either. And cross over to the other ropes. Guy come out of the corner, hit the rope, boom, you take a tackle. You'd spin back up. Time he come off of the next rope. Boom, another tackle. You'd spin, he hits this rope. Boom, spin up, he hits this rope. He's out, back of the line. Next guy comes. So there's 10 guys there. You done took 40 tackles in, I don't know, a minute's time, 90 seconds. Boom, that's 40 bumps up and down. And it's a lot of up and down. It takes a lot of energy to up and down. It ain't just the bumps. It's boom, you're down, then you're up again, down, up again, down, up again. And I ain't saying I don't know that I ever, I made it through 40 a few times. And it wasn't always like that. It always depended on how many guys were there. If there was 5 guys there, then you took 20 right in a row. If there was 6 guys, whatever, 8 guys, it just depended on the guys and how many bumps you took, how many 4 bumps you took. But he always run it like drills. It was always physical. When I first got there, the second time I was there, and Jeff was there, look, I'm still a fan too. And I wasn't a Jeff Jarrett fan at all. I was like, fuck, Jeff Jarrett's going to be training me. Because in my head, it still ain't clicked. I mean, this is just the second time, so it ain't clicked to me what's really going on fully, you know.
Yeah. That
he ain't even though he is the guy you see on TV, at the same time, that's not all he is.
Right.
So, you know, I was thinking, fuck, Jeff Jarrett. But then I got in the ring with him, and he was a guy, he didn't just stand out on the outside and do this, do that. He got in the ring with you. He got in the ring with you and demonstrated and showed you what he wanted, and then got over to the side and made you do it.
Right.
You know, so I liked him. I liked him because he was physical. He didn't show nobody no preferential treatment. Made everybody work hard. There wasn't no work to it at all. Shoulder tackles, we want connection. Impact, boom, hit the tackle, go down. Spin, pop back up, another one, boom, physicality. In everything, arm drags, quick, fast, and perfect, if you can get it perfect.
Right.
I didn't, like I said, when he first got there, when I first got there and he was there, I didn't like it, but I got all the respect in the world for that dude. This dude, we were going through and he was showing us body slams. And like I said, even then, I was probably 370 pounds.
Yeah.
But I was solid too at the same time. Like a ton of bricks solid. I wasn't just flabby, a big guy, but I was solid. And this dude snatched, without no help, demonstrating, snatched me up 7 times in a row, body slam. No posting from me, none of that. Used technique. It wasn't that he was that super strong.
Yeah.
It was the technique he used.
I
watched him. He bent them knees, hooked me through the crotch, picked me up by his legs. He didn't force me up with his back and his arms. He hooked me, squatted a little bit, hooked me, raised me up, and then turned me, and boom, slams, boom, boom, boom. 7, 8 times in a row. No help, no nothing. And after that, I had a whole different impression of Jeff Jarrett.
Right.
You know.
Well, tell me a little bit about, okay, so Jeff changed y'all physically. What do you think about the way a lot of people are trained nowadays compared to the way y'all were trained then? In your opinion?
You know, mentality, I think, more than anything else.
Right.
Here's the main problem they do with training guys. Instead of starting them out and teaching them the very basics of wrestling first, of pro wrestling. Mm-hmm. Now, sure, Jeff taught us some catch wrestling later on, taught us some holds, some moves, some sugar holds. But that was later on, once he kind of had an idea who he thought was going to make it in the ring or not.
Right.
But I think they start them out running spots, doing flips, instead of starting them out taking bumps, snatching headlocks, doing lockups, even circling. We spent more time, Jeff would put, say you had a big class one day where there was 15 or 20 people, and say 8 or 10 of us was past beginner.
Yeah.
So obviously the beginners need the ring more than what we do at this point, because he can't get the beginners even start getting them ready until they go through the bumps and all the basic stuff. So we say you had a big class like that, he'd take us outside on the fairgrounds, just in the floor, and we'd work on circling. And by circling, I mean the way before match starts, you kind of,
walk around the ring
with each other, And it ain't just, I'm following you, you follow me, let's circle. He would, like, no, that looks like shit, you know? Yeah. You know, step this way, don't kind of walk, kind of sidestep a little bit and circle where you're always facing your opponent. They start them out too quick, and more than anything else with the way they train. From what I can see, it's the mentality. They start out with it's a work.
Yeah.
And that, to me, I'll never, ever. You've got to teach these guys to respect the business before the work.
Right.
I mean, that's just the way it is. You got to make them go in there. You got to make them bump. You got to make them be physical. You got to make them work their ass off. And you got to teach them just the flat basics. Not...
Instead of just going through the motions.
I mean, so, say I can do a moonsault, but I can't do a fucking lockup.
Right.
Explain that to me. How does that work in a match? You know, how do you do that? I mean, all matches start with a lockup.
Right.
Or they should. You know, matches start with lockups. You do your lockup. You build from that point on. I might lock up with you and we might back into the corner. You know, referee might break us. We might lock up again. I might snatch a headlock on you. But you start with the lockup, the basics.
Right.
You know, if you don't teach them the basics, they might can do all the spectacular stuff in the world, but can they tell a story? If you don't have the basics, you can't tell a wrestling story properly.
Right.
Because you have to start, just like a movie almost, you have to start in a sense that we can't just start doing spots. You know, we need to start with this crowd. We need to draw them into what we're doing, who we are, what our little story's about. We need to lock up. We need to let it be known who's the bad guy, who's the good guy. You know, and all that starts with the simple, basically with a lockup. I wish all matches started with lockups.
Yeah. Well, I've seen you get frustrated with people nowadays. A lot of boys don't even know when you call a basic move, you'll call out a name and 9 out of 10 of them don't even know what you're talking about.
Look, I ain't gonna give no names, but about a year or so ago, we're in the dressing room and I call a small package for a guy as a finish. Just a quick, out of nowhere, out of the heat, boom, small package roll up. So the guy goes out there, he does his match, and he basically does a schoolboy roll up on the guy. So he comes to the back, and I'm like, you know, what happened to the small package? And he's like, that's what I did. I'm like, that wasn't a small package. He's like, yeah, it is. I'm like, no. And then there's a bunch of boys around. And so another one of the guys who actually knows what a small package is said, does any of y'all know what a small package is? And all the other guys, yeah, I know what it is. And so there's about 6 guys there. So he says, come here, show me what a small package is. And I'm sitting there just watching this shit. And 6 guys, we got 6 different moves. Not one of them was a small package. Not one was a small package. I mean, here's the thing. You need to watch this shit. I knew, here's the one plus that I figured out I had from the first minute I stepped in that ring. The very first day, once I'd done a couple of moves, I realized that all these years I've been watching this shit, I actually absorbed it. I knew what everything was. At that point, I was so heavy into wrestling, I knew what each different guy's moves were, move sets. So many different guys. If they did this, what do they normally do next? You know, but when I realized the one thing I had over a lot of guys at that time was that when they called something, I knew what it was. I knew what it was supposed to look like. That didn't mean I knew how to do it.
Yeah.
But that's the beauty of wrestling. Once you know what it is, you know what it's supposed to look like, but you may not know how to do it. And then when somebody shows you, it's like magic to you. It's like, oh shit. You know, that's awesome. Wrestling's an art.
Yeah.
Anyway, to me it is. It's a physical art. It's an athletic display of when it's done right, I don't think there's nothing better. It's human emotion at its best.
Right.
I mean, that's what wrestlers do every day. And I don't mean just the big guys. I mean every little wrestler out here in every little promotion. There's at least a couple of guys usually in any little promotion that are good, that can do.
They have heart.
That, and they believe.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. Nowadays, I feel like a lot of guys, they go out there and they pretend to be wrestlers instead of being wrestlers.
Yeah.
Just go out and be a wrestler. Don't pretend, you know. And that's what I feel like. That's why it all, a lot of people, there's no effort into it.
Yeah.
You're laying it don't matter what it is, a forearm, a kick, or even a move. Something as simple as a shoulder tackle. I mean, look, you ain't gonna hurt each other. Hit them ropes, come off, snap that tackle in, have some connection, make some skin smack, and the fans are gonna react to that.
Right.
You know, just cause you do the first one and the fans don't ooh on it, don't give it up. Let's do another one. Instead of one shoulder tackle, let's hit lock up. I'll snatch a headlock. You shoot me off. I'll hit you with a shoulder tackle. Hit the ropes. You step over. Another shoulder tackle. You take the big bump. Back off in the corner. You know, once the crowd starts getting what's going on, then they start reacting to what you're doing.
Yeah.
It's simple shoulder tackles. I mean, you can do anything with simple, basic moves. That's what we need in wrestling more than anything else, I think, is the basics.
Right. All right, so we've been talking for almost 45 minutes now, and we just covered training. Let's go first match. Was it for Jeff Nim or was it for another promotion?
No. Okay. So, going through training, and then Jeff, in '93, Lawler and the USWA and them had JJ and them, they kind of started working together, early '93, but Jeff's kind of flirting with them a little bit, they're flirting with him a little bit. So, I want to say, Jeff had to go off to start getting ready to do the Double J thing, I think is what it was. And because like I said, he was always there other than if he had to be off somewhere far for something.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and at this time he was still full-time with his family's promotion.
Right.
But they were flirting with the WWE. WWE was sending Bret Hart down, Owen Hart. They're doing stuff at the Coliseum. Vince McMahon even come down and did some things. I think he even come to the Coliseum I'm pretty sure he came to the Coliseum one night for a big match. And so he had to go to start. I don't know what they really had him doing or nothing, but he left. So then it's Tony's there for a while. And then Tony leaves too because he ended up being the driver, I think, on the Double J stuff.
Yeah.
So then we start being trained by Eddie Marlin. But by this time, we were already, I would have already been working, but my anxiety, I knew I was ready.
Yeah.
And I knew it was time. And man, I could get in the ring and go and not blow up from being tired or even being out of breath, blow up from anxiety. I mean, really.
Yeah.
You know, so I'd get in the ring and we'd be going and then just driving. And I'm not tired, I'm not even not winded, just anxiety would hit me. Had a bad problem with anxiety at that time. You know, but I also knew I was ready. I knew I was ready for a match, but until I quit blowing up, they wasn't gonna give me no match. So Eddie Marlin then comes and starts training us, which Eddie Marlin's a little different than Jeff. Which Eddie Marlin's old at this time. Hell, at this time he's probably late 60s maybe. I don't know. You figure 1990, early 93.
Yeah.
So, you know, I don't really know how old he's an old dude already, you know. And he was more of a, let the guys who had been there the longest kind of train the other guys, and he was stand by the ring and kind of direct traffic. tell you what to do, run spots, whatever you were doing. Which that was cool. I mean, I understood that, and I liked Eddie Martin. Before that, and before Jeff left, he gave me this. Well, he gave my brother. We'd be in the ring training sometimes. Say Tony and Jeff were both there. But Jeff always was come in the ring, get the class started, do whatever. If something new, he'd demonstrate and show us what it was, what it should look like. But then a lot of times, Tony would run the drills. He'd get out of the ring and let Tony run the drills, run us through the drills, and he'd go sit over in the where the fans would sit if there was a show going on.
Yeah.
With Sam. And so Sam owned the gym and worked out all the time, so they kind of we talk about that and stuff. So one day we come to class and Jeff gives Sam, before the end of the class, gives Sam this little white stapled together catalog. It says K&H on it. Hildebrand, I think is what it is, and I don't remember what the K stands for, but just an old white paper catalog, about 6 or 7 pages, just stapled together, and it had different types and stuff.
Yeah.
You know, all the different tops you could get, the pants, what they put on them, and that was still back at that time. You know, if you wanted a lightning bolt, it'd be just a general lightning bolt or something. There wasn't no super fancy tights.
Yeah.
You know, so he said, y'all need to start, you know, he needs to start picking some kind of gear, picking him some gear. He also gave us a phone number to Bill Ash. He gave us, I want to say he gave us a little book about Noel Ash and his boots, where to get boots from.
Mm-hmm.
So, and he told Sam, he said, look, he said, he needs to get some, y'all need to get him ready. He needs some tights, pick out what he wants to wear, get him some boots. And that made, truthfully, I don't think at that time I was even blowing up. I think that's kind of where it started, because when he did that, in my head, man, it just went,
made you nervous.
Well, it was like, oh shit, you know. It's one thing to go there and just train, and when you first start, you know you ain't close, there's no pressure. You just happy to be there, being trained by Jeff. Tony's training you. These people you've watched on TV your whole life down there.
Yeah.
So you just happy to be there. But when he gave Sam those things and told him, said, look, he needs to order some gear. I think that's right there is where my anxiety really kicked in the most.
And shit got real.
Shit got real.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, I know that's another pet peeve of yours is people not, how do you say it, taking pride with their gear and boots. You don't see most people even wearing boots anymore. And I remember when you and I first started dating, like your boots were like your number one thing. And now you hardly ever see people wear boots.
Oh, there wasn't no getting in the ring without gear and boots. There wasn't even, I don't care how good you would have been, Jeff wasn't going to put us in the ring. He wasn't going to put you in the ring without gear and boots. Wrestling gear and boots.
Yeah.
Not no fucking tennis shoes and blue jeans. Not no homemade. I mean, if you can make homemade tights and shit, and they look good in the end, probably, if they look like wrestling shit. But gear and boots. But here's the thing, that K&H stuff, still got 3 whole suits at the house that are probably better than most of the gear made today. My very first black and red suit's got one little ravel right here, right going down the chest, about yay wide, and it's been there for, that happened probably 5 years after I got it, and it's been there ever since. But all of them are still
good shape.
Awesome gear.
Yeah.
Now my boots, different story. When I got fed up, like a lot of people do with wrestling, the one thing you're always told, never sell your gear, never get rid of your gear.
Even when your wife tells you, don't
get rid of your
don't
gear.
sell your boots.
Especially your boots, because it's easier to get gear than good boots.
Yeah.
Now, I don't even know where to buy good boots because I'm not going to get the quality that the boots I had were.
Yeah.
So when I got fed up in 2007, and actually it was 2009. When I got fed up in 2009 and just decided, fuck it, I'm done with it, what's the first thing I do?
Sell your boots.
Don't just sell one pair. So both pair. Both pair of boots. Worst mistake I ever made. Regret it now. Wish I had my boots back. Any of you motherfuckers out there got some 17 inches up to the calf, black and red striped boots. The red is the boots all black except around the top, around the lace things, and down the back, and a pair of blue ones just like it. I want them motherfuckers, man. I'll buy them back from you. I mean, really.
I know we've tried to trace them down. God,
dog, worst mistake I ever made. And now, if I knew where to get a quality pair of boots like that, I would buy a pair of boots. Am I going to wrestle? Probably not. But I sure wish I had my boots, or I could get another pair just like them. Right. Made the same quality. These boots, I wore them from 1993 till 2009. Now I had to have the red and black ones resold once or twice, and on the heel on the red and black one where it bends, I had it split a little bit, and I took it to a leather shop. And they fixed it. They put a patch on the inside of it, and I never had no more problem out of it. Wish I had my boots. Dumbest shit ever.
Our biggest I told you so moment.
Man, you don't get boots like that no more.
No.
I mean, these boots last forever. They're out there somewhere.
Yeah.
Two people.
Somebody's got them.
Yeah, and they're still in good shape unless they tore them up on purpose.
Yeah, like I said, most wrestlers you see now don't wear boots.
You wasn't getting in the ring without gear. I mean, that was just a fact. You was not getting in the ring without gear. And look, if you got a gimmick, PG-13, before John Cena, short pants, tennis shoes.
Yeah.
But it fits them. And every other motherfucker on the show ain't wearing short pants and tennis shoes.
Yeah.
So it stands out, fits them to the T. Like, they look stupid trying to do that same gimmick in boots and tights.
Yeah.
They look better with their shorts, their hubcaps, and their tennis shoes.
Right.
But that's only because everybody else on the card ain't wearing tennis shoes too, and blue jeans or blue jean shorts or jogging pants or some of this shit I see, I don't even know what it is.
Really. But I bet if the promoter told them to break out the boots, they had them somewhere.
Nowadays, I don't think.
Not nowadays.
Here's the thing. Back then, there wasn't no kick pads. They probably existed for karate dudes and shit.
Yeah.
But wrestlers wasn't over in Japan. They might have been using them. But that's probably where it came from. Over here, it probably hit with the. I never thought about it, but the cruiserweights in WCW probably brought the kick pads. But now, everybody wears kick pads. And here's the thing, I understand that if you don't have boots and shit, because it covers it up and you don't really know. But if you got a nice pair of wrestling boots and you covering them motherfuckers up with kick pads, you're a fucking moron.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'd rather see them boots. You paid a lot of money for them boots. And they look good.
Right.
Ain't nothing like it. Look, here's how big a mark I was for my boots. And just the gear period. I got my gear in before my boots.
Yeah.
So as soon as I get my gear in, well, of course, I had to go try this shit on. And not only that, I had to call Sam, tell him it came in. He had to come all the way out to our mom and daddy's house and to see me get dressed in this shit. And we ordered a couple of masks, old school masks, old fucking old school Mr. Wrestling 2 type masks. And so I get my gear, I get all dressed, mask and all. This motherfucker's in blue jeans and no shirt. Puts another mask on, and we flexing and shit in mom and daddy's living room, and pictures of it.
We got the pictures to prove
on
it.
Facebook. But fast forward another month, and my boots come in. Man,
play dress up again,
dude. When I opened the box, they were the coolest thing I've ever. They truly to this day is the coolest thing I've ever opened in my life. When you open them, they're patent leather. They're, like I said, they're 17 inches high up the calf. They just look like gladiator boots. I mean, they're fucking awesome.
Yeah.
What do? I'm putting these motherfuckers on, and not only do I put them on, but me and my buddies are riding around town, and we go out to Storm Creek to meet with some other buddies, which I can't get out because it's gravel because I don't want to fuck the great toes up. But yet I'm in the car showing my boots off and shit, man. Just the coolest thing ever. The boots. The gear I love too, but the boots. probably to this day, the best thing that I've ever gotten in the mail and opened. Just beautiful. Just beautiful boots.
All right, so you got the gear. Let's get back. We got off track a little bit. Let's get back to the first match.